everyone, I am new to AuthorTube. My name is Lakota Thurman, and I thought today, since this is going to be my first video, I would do the Newbie Author Tag. It was created by Jenna Streety, and I will link it down below so you can find her profile in case you have not seen her yet or you have not done the Newbie Author Tag yourself yet. I have decided to create this because I am an author, or writer, I guess technically, since I am not published yet. But I have always been interested in the art of creating stories to tell people. Something I did not know existed until 3 or 4 months ago was NaNoWriMo, which I actually did get to participate in this year, and I am going to make a video on that later to talk about my experience, because I was not brave enough to vlog every day of Nano like some of my favorite YouTubers do, or AuthorTubers. So I guess so you can learn a little bit more about me, I'll just go ahead and answer the questions. First question is, how did you find out about AuthorTube? I actually stumbled across Kate Kavanaugh's channel. I had no idea AuthorTube was a thing, and I didn't know that NaNoWriMo was a thing, which is a little surprising to me since I actually have loved writing since I was a little small child. I was looking for writing advice and basically just looking to see if there was anyone else on YouTube that was interested in the same things I was, because I didn't grow up in a large city, I didn't have a lot of friends who were writers, and I thought I was kind of alone, that it wasn't really something that a lot of people strove for anymore, I guess. And I was very glad to find out that that was not true, and that there's this thing that you get to participate in every couple of months to motivate you to make a new story to tell people. What genres do I write in? I write in whatever genre catches my eye at the time. I like horror and fantasy, supernatural, young adult, urban fantasy, post-apocalyptic, zombies, you know, pretty much anything that an idea pops into my head is what gets written down. And I don't know, I respect people that focus on a certain genre and perfect that genre and, you know, represent that genre very well. But I have always only written for myself, to get things in my head out, because it was something I could concentrate on, it was something that calmed me down, and I loved it. I love all kinds of books, I love all kinds of music. I'm a very eclectic person, I guess you could say. I have a lot of interests in a lot of different areas. What is my preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? I prefer writing in past tense. I don't know if I prefer it so much as it just is what I typically do. I also prefer first person because, like I said, I write stories for me, so most often my characters, well, my heroines, because I usually write about female leads, are some part of aspect of my own personality or a personality trait that I wish I had myself, even if I don't. My favorite category of story to read is typically adult supernatural or adult fantasy. To write, I don't think I really purposefully do it, but I write in YA a lot because I want to write stories that my nieces and nephews could read and me not feel guilty about it. So that's why I typically write in young adult, because the younger people in my family are the people in my family that read the most often, and I like being able to share the things that I've created with them. Am I a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? I am a plantser. I very much love world building. I love creating these intricate worlds that defy normality. I like putting in the little details, like I like making maps, I like figuring out the different governments and the different magical systems, and even a couple languages. I've created a couple languages for 2 of my stories, I think. It's just something I love. However, I have found that there's a downside to that for me, because I am a pantser in that I like to write from my mind. I like to write very off the cuff and whatever pops into my head. I don't typically like making outlines, because once I've figured everything in a world out, like just everything, all of my characters, everything, I tend to lose interest in my story. And that's something that I will go into in another video about why I love and hate world building. If I figure out too much at the beginning, I am not going to finish that story again. I know me. I won't do it. Am I self-published, published, or yet to be published? I am not published yet. I am actually planning on querying agents in the summer of 2019, because my very first story that I am writing right now, that I worked on for Nano, is the very first story I've written with the intent of getting it published for other people to read it. And I'm not happy with it yet. There's still things that need to be put in. I did end up getting the 50,000 words for my Nano project, but I feel like there's going to be, if not 10,000, maybe 20,000 more words in this story before I am completely satisfied with it. But you never know. It could just end up being that I only have a couple scenes to add and I'll be done with it. What publishing company, literary agent, and/or printing company are you represented by or use? If you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house or literary agent? I don't have one yet. Like I said, I am thinking about querying agents in the summer of 2018, and I think I'm going to wait to really do a lot of research into that until my story is done, because I want to give my story to someone who is, first of all, looking for a story like that, and is willing to give it a fair shot based on itself. And I don't want to get my hopes up for a certain agent or publishing house, because, you know, things happen, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to get my hopes up, even though I am fairly confident that if someone were to read my story, they would like it. I am not so overconfident that I am willing to put that kind of information out on the internet just yet. What AuthorTube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? I am going to use this channel to document my own writing journey. I love, like I said, I love world building, creating characters. I love working out every aspect of my story to make the worlds as interesting as possible. Even though I don't base my entire story around the world it's set in necessarily, I'm the type of reader that whenever I read a story, I want to know more about that world. I want to know more about this certain character, or that character, or this certain location, or that piece of magic, or spell, or book, whatever it happens to be at the time. And I'm the type of person that I'm going to set up my author website and have separate sections for each of my books for information that just doesn't go in the book, for people to go and research, because one of my favorite authors, who is Sherilyn Kenyon, has a section on her website that lists every character from every book she's ever written and all of their details, and it's just, I love it. Even if no one else in the world cares about that kind of thing, I care about that kind of thing, and that's why it's gonna happen. I want a place where I can talk about my works in progress, and hopefully people that see will develop connections to the characters that I create. Like, for me personally, my favorite author tuber, which is Kate Kavanaugh, is writing a story about a girl who gets kidnapped with a prince. And watching her work on this book through NaNoWriMo has gotten me completely hooked, and I cannot wait for her to publish it because I want to read it so badly. And it wasn't something I even noticed happening. It just happened. I fell in love with her characters, well, what I know about them at least. And for that reason alone, I am going, whenever she publishes it, I'm saying when, not if, I'm saying when, because I'm seriously hoping here. When she publishes it, I fully intend to go and check that book out. And I hope that by watching me work on some of my books or projects or characters or whatever I happen to be doing that day, someone might create a connection to my own work. And some people might feel like that's a little bit underhanded, but I don't care. When did I start writing? I started writing shortly after I fell in love with reading. Because whenever I was a kid, I absolutely loathed reading. It was my worst subject in school. I was so stressed out about it because I was a little bit dyslexic growing up. I've learned to get over it now. Well, not get over it. I've learned to deal with it now. But it was something that just, it got me so down on myself whenever I was in school because I felt like I just wasn't smart enough and I just hated it. And I came across a book by James Patterson. It was called Maximum Ride: The Angel Experiment. And I fell in love with that book. I think I read that book in 2 days, which for me back then, I think I was in 5th or 6th grade. That wasn't a thing. That didn't happen for me. And I absolutely fell in love with reading because of that book. And it was shortly after that book that I started writing little stories about just whatever happened to cross my mind at the time. And I just never really stopped. It just became a part of my normal life, and it's something I always did, but it was never something I considered that I could do for a job or a career. I always thought it was just something that other people did, and it just wasn't going to be for me, but that was okay because I liked what I was writing, and whenever I was bored and a story that I just wanted to read didn't exist anywhere, at least as far as I knew, and I couldn't find it, I wrote one. And I can return back to those stories even now as a 27-year-old and get some enjoyment out of them, even though I realized that I was an awful writer back then, and some things are a little bit cringy. Still, overall, I am happy with them, and that makes me happy. Because, I don't know, I guess at some point I realized I didn't have to do things for other people to make other people happy. I just had to make me happy. I am very glad that writing and reading helped me to come to that conclusion in my life. What was the first story you ever wrote? The first story I ever wrote was not really a fan fiction because it's based loosely off of Naruto, which is an anime that I still like to this day. It's based loosely on it, even though none of the characters from the anime are in my book, and even the world it's in is in, like, our world with, you know, America and Japan and all of that. But it's based closely enough on Naruto that I would never try to publish it, because, like, blood lightning traits are a thing in my world, and they're based very closely on the ones from Naruto, so that's just not gonna be a thing. But it's about a young girl who finds out that she's the descendant of Oda Nobunaga, and her mother whisked her away from her family after she married an American soldier and moved her to America. And the whole point of the novel is she just wants to learn who she is and where she fits into the world, and she gets the opportunity to do that through her martial arts. She gets invited to come to this hidden village in Japan, and, you know, she learns how to be a ninja, and she meets people, and exciting things happen, And I still like it. I still like it to this day. I go back and read it every once in a while. And I actually started a second book for it when I was 13, I think. And it never went anywhere, obviously, because no, it just never went anywhere. But I still liked it. What authors have inspired your writing the most? Actually, an author that inspired me the most is a fictional character. I grew up watching older shows with my mother because my mom she's an older person. And she very much likes the old-time shows. And I grew up watching Murder, She Wrote with her. So the person that really got me into wanting to actually try to make a career of writing was Jessica Fletcher. And I can say that with little to no shame. Writers themselves, real writers, haven't really influenced me in that I have changed the way I write, but the things that they accomplish inspire me to try to do the same things for myself, because I was always a person that was very shy and didn't like to put myself out there for other people to criticize, and that's the main thing that happens to you when you're a writer. So watching people like Kate Kavanaugh put themselves out there every day to do something that they love has inspired me to try to move beyond my comfort zones. People like J.K. Rowling, Sherilyn Kenyon, Cressley Cole, James Patterson are all people that have inspired me through the years for very different reasons. But I'm just grateful that they decided to take that first step as well, and it makes me feel a little bit less scared about it knowing that they did it first. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? I write whenever I want to. I always have at least one notebook with me, or if I don't have my notebook, I have my phone, and I write down story ideas and in my notes, and sometimes I will even write full chapters on my phone, depending on where I am, because my family does a lot of moving around. Well, not moving around. Does a lot of traveling and in the car a lot. And I like to be able to get an idea down wherever I'm at for whatever reason. So I write whenever I want to. As far as having a day and a set time for me to write, that really doesn't happen very often. Though sometimes I will tell my family a couple days ahead of time, hey, I'm going to write this Friday. Don't plan on me being there for whatever it is that you want to do, because that's probably not going to happen. Because once I get into my story, I typically stay there for several days and don't really accomplish anything else other than, absolute must-have work and home-related things. Do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend of those? I typically write on my computer, but like I said, I do have a notebook that I keep with me and my phone that I keep with me all the time, and I write on those things as well. For 13, last question. What are you most looking forward to now that you are a part of AuthorTube? I am looking forward to making other friends who are authors, because like I said, I've never had that, and it's just so easy to learn things from other people on YouTube. Everything I've learned in the past year has come from watching a video on YouTube. Like, I've learned how to bind books by hand, I've learned to sew, I've learned to do all kinds of crafty things just by watching YouTube videos, and watching YouTube videos, especially AuthorTube, has really helped me with how I approach writing a book, or how I approach world building, and it makes me happy to know that all I have to do is click onto the internet, and any question, basically any question I could possibly have, someone has an answer to it. Even if I don't fully agree with that answer, there is an answer out there, and it just inspires me to keep working on my craft, to work on these things that bring me so much joy and peace and comfort, and hopefully get to share them with other people. And I hope that someone, even though I do not plan to make how-to videos on my channel, like I'm not going to sit down and tell someone how to write something, I will talk about how I do it, and whether or not you choose to like that thing is completely up to you. And since that was my last question, I am probably going to get off of here now. My next video will probably be up within this week. And I think it's going to be my NaNoWriMo experience for 2018. And I am looking forward to recording that video for you guys. And I hope that you will all comment down below, because I like talking to people, I like making new friends, and I hope to hear from you so I can maybe go check out your channels, or hear about the books that you are going to write, so that I can maybe go buy. Bye guys, I'll see you later.